Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So I want you to imagine finally buying your dream home, but before you even move in, you begin receiving anonymous, disturbing letters from someone who calls themselves the Watcher. Would you still move in? It honestly sounds like something straight out of a horror movie, but this is exactly what happened to the Broaddus family. In June of 2014, Derek and Maria Broaddus, along with their 3 children who were 5, 8, and 10 at the time, were looking to buy a home in Westfield, New Jersey. Westfield is a sleepy little suburb about 45 minutes from New York City, and it's where Maria grew up. According to the website Neighborhood Scout, at the time it was actually listed as one of the top 30 safest communities in America. Looking to keep the family in a familiar neighborhood, that's when the Broadduses stumbled upon 657 Boulevard. It was a stunning 6-bedroom, $1.3 million Dutch colonial home that was built in 1905. And just around the corner was Maria's childhood home, and honestly, it was their dream home. So to celebrate Derek's 40th birthday, on June 1st, the family officially purchased the home from John and Andrea Woods and began renovating before they moved in. Just 3 days later, Derek was at the home by himself painting a few walls when at around 10:30 p.m. he decided to head back to his family. But before he did, he checked the mail thinking nothing of importance would be there so soon. But to his surprise, there was an envelope with thick black handwriting on the outside titled, "To the New Owner." Inside, a typed cursive font read,
Dearest new neighbor at 657 Boulevard, allow me to welcome you to the neighborhood. How did you end up here? Did 657 Boulevard call to you with its force within? 657 Boulevard has been the subject of my family for decades now, and as it approaches its 110th birthday, I have been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s, and my father watched in the 1960s before he died. It is now my time. Do you know what lies within the walls of 657 Boulevard? Why are you here? I will find out. You have children. I have seen them. So far, I think there are 3 that I have counted. I asked the Woods to bring me young blood, and it looks like they listened. Once I know their names, I will draw them and call them to me. Who am I? There are hundreds and hundreds of cars that drive by 657 Boulevard each day. Maybe I am in one. Look at all the windows you can see from 657 Boulevard. Maybe I am in one. Look out any of the windows in 657 Boulevard at all the people who stroll by each day. Maybe I am one of them. Welcome, my friends, welcome. Let the party begin. Signed, The Watcher.
The letter had no return address. After reading this, Derek called the police right away, so they reassured him that they would be looking into it, but instructed him and Maria in the meantime to not tell anyone, including their new neighbors, as they were all now suspects. Derek and Maria went to the Woods, the couple who sold them the home, and asked if they ever received a similar letter. They said that in their 23 years of living in the home, they only ever received 1 letter, and it was a couple of days before they moved out. They thought the letter was an odd joke, so they threw it away without thinking twice about it. The Woods stated that they never felt watched, and they felt so safe that they rarely even locked their doors. Despite the creepy letter, the Broaddus family continued on with the renovations and tried to move on. They even invited another couple from the block over to give a tour of the renovations, but it was something that the wife said that made Derek freeze. The wife said, quote, "It'll be nice to have some young blood in the neighborhood," end quote. I don't know if that's like a common thing to say, but even if it wasn't this situation, that's still like a creepy thing to say to me. Anyways, after this, the Broaddus family would attend neighborhood barbecues to learn more about their new neighbors. And this is when they learned about their direct neighbor, Michael Langford. So Michael's house actually belonged to his 90-year-old mother, but Michael, along with several of his adult siblings, still lived with her. The neighborhood talk was that they were odd, but harmless. The Langfords lived in the house since the 60s, and Michael's dad died around 12 years earlier. Michael was reportedly diagnosed with schizophrenia and would sometimes scare the new neighbors by walking in their yards and peeking in through their windows. This fit the Watcher's description almost perfectly, so the Broaddus family took this information to the police. They took Michael in for questioning, but of course he denied writing the letter, and with no evidence, he was released. 2 weeks later, the Broaddus family received another more detailed letter which included the family's name, the children's nicknames, and their birth order. The Watcher stated that he saw their daughter painting on an easel in an enclosed porch area and asked if she was the artist of the family. The letter read,
I see that you have already flooded 657 Boulevard with contractors. Have they found what's in the walls yet? In time, they will. It has been years and years since the young blood ruled the hallways of the house. Will the young blood play in the basement, or are they too afraid to go down there alone? I would be very afraid if I were them. It is far away from the rest of the house. If you were upstairs, you would never hear them scream. Will they sleep in the attic, or will you all sleep on the second floor? Who has the bedrooms facing the street? I'll know as soon as you move in. It will help me to know who is in each bedroom. Then I can plan better. All of the windows and doors in 657 Boulevard allow me to watch and track you as you move through the house. I pass by many times a day. Have a happy moving in day. You know I will be watching. Signed, The Watcher.
After this letter, Derek and Maria stopped bringing their kids to the house, and their plans to move in came to a halt. Because of how scared they were, they resorted to moving in with Maria's parents. Derek had a home inspector look in the walls of the home, but nothing was found. The police began heavily focusing on Michael Langford again, as the watcher had noted that he'd seen the Broaddus' daughter painting on the porch. The porch was hidden from the street by vegetation, and it was only visible from either behind the house or from the Langford's house right next door. However, police tested trace DNA from saliva left behind on the envelopes, and it indicated that it came from a woman. So Michael was ruled out, but instead their focus shifted on Michael's sister Abby, who also lived at the home. They compared her DNA to what they had found, but it was not a match. After this, the Langfords were officially cleared. Authorities also tested the Woods and the Broaddus' DNA, and they were also not a match. So Derek hired a former FBI agent to investigate the case, and a threat assessment of the letters were performed. It was determined that the watcher was likely an older person based on their vocabulary. They also looked for possible handwriting samples that matched to the envelope, but they came up with nothing. Derek and Maria were left to conduct their own investigation. Derek would stay up all night watching security cameras that he had set up in the home, and Maria would analyze anyone who looked at her kids strangely and would then spend hours researching them. Maria's paranoia got so bad that she began having reoccurring nightmares about a man who lived nearby. He would carry a pitchfork and would call out to her children, but she could never get to them in time. During this time, another letter came.
Where have you gone to? 657 Boulevard is missing you.
As much as the family tried to keep the letters a secret from the public, the story was somehow leaked and it went viral. 6 months after receiving the first letter, Derek and Maria officially put 657 Boulevard back on the market, but because of the terrifying rumors, no one wanted to buy it. The Broaddus family actually tried suing the Woods for failing to disclose the threatening letter they received, but the suit was thrown out in 2017. Derek and Maria tried selling the property to a developer to tear the home down and split it into 2 lots, but this was rejected as the lots were too small for the mandated size of the neighborhood. The entire neighborhood almost rallied to keep the house, even though the Broaddus family was being tormented by an unknown person. It is interesting to note that in 2018, the Westfield Planning Board agreed to split up a lot just around the corner from 657 Boulevard that required an even bigger exception. It was because of this that Derek and Maria felt that the entire town could possibly be in on this nightmare they were experiencing. It's also worth noting that shortly after the rejection, every family who rejected the house being torn down received threatening, handwritten letters in the mail. So Derek eventually confessed to writing only these letters as he felt betrayed by the entire community. 2 years after receiving the first letter, the family finally found a couple who would rent out 657 Boulevard. But to be safe, they did have a clause in their lease that would let them out if another letter came. And sure enough, another letter did come. This time the watcher was threatening revenge on Derek and Maria if they harmed the house.
To the vile and spiteful Derek and his wench of a wife, Maria. Maybe an accident. Maybe a fire. Maybe something as simple as a mild illness that never seems to go away but makes you fall sick day after day after day. Maybe the mysterious death of a pet. Loved ones suddenly die. Planes and cars and bicycles crash. Bones break. All hail the Watcher.
Luckily, the renters agreed to stay with a few more security cameras placed outside the home. To this day, the watcher has never been identified. There was one strong lead though, and that was a woman who police caught parked in front of 657 Boulevard late one night. She was from a nearby town, and her boyfriend's house was on the same block as 657. The woman told investigators that her boyfriend was into some really dark video games, including one where he played as a character named The Watcher. The boyfriend agreed to be interviewed twice, but strangely enough, he never showed, and with no real evidence against him, the police never tried questioning him or her again. A major theory was that the Watcher was some scorned person who lost out on buying the home, but the town also heavily criticized the Broaddus family. There was a lot of speculation that the family was just in way over their heads with a $1.3 million home, and the letters were a desperate attempt to get out of the deal, or that they could possibly get a good horror movie deal out of it. But what was later revealed was that another family on the Boulevard also received a letter from the Watcher around the same time as Derek and Maria. But like the Woods, they had also lived in the house for many years, so they threw the letter away. Derek and Maria strongly deny any accusations, stating what they went through has caused them severe PTSD. A horror movie was loosely based on this called The Watcher, and you can watch it on Amazon Prime. I liked it, but the acting wasn't super great. The Watcher house recently sold to new owners in 2019 for $959,000. And while Derek and Maria can officially wash their hands of the house, the Watcher is still out there, and it could be anyone. I'd honestly love to know if any of you would move into a house with this history. I think I would, but I'm also kind of a chicken, so who knows. I will see you guys next time, but until then, stay safe.